everyone, welcome back to my Earth Friendly Kitchen. Today I am making a chicken Francese. Oh, my name's Maria, by the way. I'm your host for those of you who don't know me. So chicken Francese is like an Italian staple dish. And I make it a lot. It's one of my husband's favorite meals. My mother-in-law loves it. And it's also pretty simple ingredients, pretty easy to put together, pretty low cost that way, which we love. And so, today that's what we're going to be making for you. So we're going to start with our favorite, garlic. I'm going to do about 4 cloves of garlic, okay? And we're going to just mince these up to a nice small mince. And, this is going to be kind of like a dish where it's a 2-step part kind of, right? So first we're going to sear the chicken in the oil. We're going to kind of do like a shallow fry. And then the next thing we're going to do is put the sauce together, and then we'll put the chicken back in to let it cook the rest of the way in the sauce. So it really gets those really nice, delicious flavors. And it's just such a bright dish. It's one of my, kind of go-to meals for even during the week because it's pretty quick and fast. And then, and then it's just a nice, kind of even elevated meal. If you want to have company, it's a great dish for people to share. It's just one of those all around good old Italian dishes that we've had pretty much my whole life. All right. So I don't know if any of you grew up in Italian households and made this, but it's pretty much right up there along with chicken parm for us. All right, so I'm just going to do a chop across my garlic. And this guy is kind of fat, so I'm going to cut him in half and then chop him. And, you could use minced garlic here, like if you have it in a jar or like if it's frozen or whatnot. Whatever the small dice is, we don't mind big chunks, in our family, but most people, aren't trying to ward off vampires. So, all right, so just a nice fine dice here. Kind of run your knife through it a few times. Oh, don't let these guys escape the pool. Okay. Kind of get any big chunks that you missed. Also because, uniformity, we always talk about, when you have a regular dice, everything cooks evenly. And, even though it's just garlic, we're not adding any additional kind of veggies to cook up. You still want the garlic to cook evenly because then some pieces might burn, some pieces might not, so we don't want burning around here. All right, so then that's one part. And then the other part we're going to do is just cut up our lemon. So we're going to take 1 lemon and cut it in half and juice it. So this is going to go into our sauce or broth that we're going to be making. So you want to do the juice of 1 whole lemon. And I'm just doing this ahead of time because, in the heat of the moment when you're cooking and you don't want to throw seeds in there, we call it mise en place, right? Everything in its place before you start the cook. And then we're going to take another lemon and we're going to cut this into slices because this is actually going to go into the broth whole. And you want to make nice thin slices, about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch maybe, pretty thin, because these are going to cook up really nice. Oh, smells so bright. I love cutting into a nice fresh lemon. Reminds me of summer. I'm ready for it, guys. Winter's maybe halfway over. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over the colds. I'm over the sicknesses. I'm over it. That's okay. Still gives me plenty of time to make more soups. All right, so we're going to put this on the side. So we have our lemon slices, our minced garlic, and our lemon juice, okay? So that's one part. Then we're going to set up our battering station. So first, we're going to start with some flour. Now, typically, when you make a breaded cutlet, you do flour, egg, crumb, right? For this dish, for chicken Francese, you only do flour, egg, and that's it. There's no crumb on the outside. So it's, also nice for people who are gluten-free. You can use gluten-free flour for this. I'm using the Italian flour that because I'm gluten-free as well usually, but I'm very sensitive to it. I don't have celiac. I'm just a sensitive gluten person. But I'm using the Italian flour, which doesn't bother me. So that's the one I'm using today. And then we're going to take our eggs, and we're going to have 3 cracked eggs in here. And then we're going to make, this is going to be our egg wash. Okay. So 1, 2, and these are actually, these are extra large eggs because I don't know about everyone else, but we're all feeling the egg shortage that's going on right now. And so we had extra large eggs instead of just our regular large eggs. All right. So we're going to whisk these up like you're beating for a scrambled egg. And you're really scrambling these eggs up. And this is going to be your wash. Okay. So normally I would use, the reason why I mentioned the egg shortage is because I would normally use 4 regular large eggs, but these are extra large. I'm using 3. So if you have large, do 4. All right, so that's nice and beat. And then we're going to season both things. So even though you have plenty of seasoning like in your sauce and your broth that you're going to be cooking this in, you want to season the chicken too, right? And you want to season kind of every step. But because you're seasoning every step, you're going to go a little bit light. So we're really just going to kind of sprinkle some salt into the flour and the egg. Not even a full teaspoon, not even half a teaspoon, probably like a 1/4 teaspoon you're going to want to do. We're going to season it with some pepper. I'm using white pepper. It's just what I have in the pantry right now. We're going to do a little bit of onion powder in both, right? See how just lightly seasoning, not even full, measurements, just really just sprinkling it in. Garlic powder, because again, you're going to be seasoning every part of it, but you want that flavor to just really penetrate through everything, right? And then a little bit of parsley. And these are the same flavors that we're going to carry over into our broth that we're going to be making for the dish. Okay, so we're just going to beat that all into the egg so it's nice and integrated. And then that's that. And then I'm going to take another fork and I'm going to do that same mixing of the flour. Just kind of get everything together here. Or you could use a spoon, whatever. And just use a fork, okay? All right, so this is our batter station. So that step is done, okay? Now, we're gonna prep our chicken. Now, if you buy, this recipe is really great for thin cutlets, right? So thin cutlets, but if you buy the thin cutlets, you may not have to prep the chicken as much as I am because I bought the not thin cutlets, the regular breasts, and so there's a reason behind that. So the biggest reason I have is because 9 out of 10 times it's cheaper. It's cheaper to buy the big cutlets because you're not paying for someone to cut it. For some reason, the thinner cutlets that you have are always more expensive. Sorry, just throwing that away. Always more expensive than the thicker pieces because you have to do this. See how hard that is? You have to pay somebody to do that whenever you get thin cutlets. It's ridiculous, is it not? So I'm just going to cut away some of this extra fat here. If you have pieces like that, I would just say cut it because this is a pretty lean dish and it cooks up quick. All right, so I'm just cutting these slices into thin cutlets. I'm even going to separate these guys here because I like them to be small pieces. But yeah, I mean, I like the thin, I get the thicker ones. You pay one price for, 4 pieces of chicken and you wind up getting, like 10 or 12 from it because like who's better than you? I mean, that 4-pack there was like $20 for the amount of weight. For 4 pieces, you would think, wow, that's a lot. But if you're cutting it up like this, $4 for, 10, 12 pieces, it's pretty good. Or $20. What did I say? $4? $20 for this amount of pieces is really, you can't beat it. Because I promise you, if you went to the store and got a packet of like 6 thin sliced, you would be paying like $15, right, for that, which is crazy. You got to work the system, you know? You got to figure out the low cost options. Okay. All right, I'm going to cut this guy one more time. And you like them nice and thin because that way, for one, they cook up really fast. They cook up really even. And they're nice cutlets that you just place in the pan. So, and it gets crowded. Let me tell you, it gets crowded in that pan with all these cutlets. But I might not even use all of these. I might save some of these cutlets for another dish. Because that's how you make it last. That's how you make your weekly budget stretch. All right? Okay. All right. So that's that. Oh, let me just cut this little piece off here. Okay. All right. So that's that. So I am going to go wash my hands because I touched raw chicken, right? And then I'm going to come back and get all my stuff, and we're going to go bring it over to the station to put it together. Always want to wash hands, even though you might, you know, grab something like the tray. It possibly has, you know, a little chicken juice on it or whatever. You know, I'm grabbing all my other things. Like, I don't want to put, you know, even though this is getting cooked, I don't necessarily want to touch it with my raw chicken hands, you know. So I'll take the non-raw stuff first. So flour, my lemons, and then I'm going to have my chicken and my eggs. I'm putting this very intentionally in a certain way because it's going to go chicken, flour, eggs, fry. Okay? And then I'm going to grab my spices because we're going to need them for our sauce later. Okay. I also have a little bit of water boiling here just so I can throw some angel hair pasta in to put over this. This is going to be really delish. All right, so for this dish, it's going to be a shallow fry. So I'm going to put a little bit of canola oil, maybe about a 1/4 cup, because you want it to be kind of not soaking the chicken, but a little bit of, it's going to cover the whole pan. And then I'm going to put some olive oil in there. So the canola oil is going to bring up, this is about 2 tablespoons probably, just what I had left of olive oil. The canola oil is going to help bring up the smoke point, right? When we mix oils, and you know, olive oil has a very low smoke point. Canola oil has a much higher smoke point. This helps when you're frying something, roasting something at a high temperature in the oven. You want to stick to your high heat oils. But I want that olive oil flavor to permeate into the dish. And so that's why I wanted to add the canola oil, because when you put them together, it actually elevates the smoke point. Not maybe as high as the canola oil by itself, but definitely higher than the olive oil by itself. Okay, good trick. All right, so then just gonna kind of get this pan nice and hot. So you see, it's not a very thick layer. Like this part here, because it kind of bows this pan. This is one of the things I don't really like about this pan, but you use what you got, right? But it doesn't even have a lot of oil in the bottom here, but you don't need it to be, again, soaking through. You're not frying it, like deep frying, right? You're shallow frying, and for that, you just need a shallow amount of oil. All right? So first thing, because I don't want to try to get my hands not as dirty as possible, I'm going to use my fork here. Take your chicken breast, put it right into the flour. Okay, shake off the excess here, and then put it on the other side. Shake off the excess here. Now the flour is also going to help the egg stick to the chicken and pretty much help your batter from just falling off when it fries. All right, so then you do the same thing on this side. Get it nice and coated on either side. Okay, and I have my heat on like a medium to high, a little bit closer to medium, because you do want the chicken to cook, right? We're going to throw it back in so it finishes cooking in the sauce, but you want it to cook as you're searing it too, right? So you don't want to have it too low because then the inside of the chicken won't cook, and you want to have it too. And then also oil will just kind of soak into the egg and makes it for very greasy. You don't want it too high because you don't want it to burn on the outside and the chicken's then raw on the inside. So that's, the balance of figuring that out. So you want to see the nice kind of sheen on your oil. It kind of ripples a little bit when it starts getting really hot. And that's kind of what you're looking for here when you see. So you see the ripples there. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up on camera, but it's there. All right, now you're just going to drip off the excess egg. Now this is a multitasking department, right? Because you're going to be doing this in batches. Okay. While that's starting to cook, you're going to bread your other chicken here, right? So multitasking. You're going to keep an eye on one while you do the other, because usually you could bread ahead of time if you have an outer coating, right? And then you can stack them up on a pan before putting them into the fry, where they would fry, more at the same time. I mean, you're going to work pretty quickly, right? So you're going to have these fry up pretty much at the same time. But normally, you would, if they were coated, you could just put them in another dish and let them rest on top of each other. But because this is egg on the outside, you really don't have that luxury, unfortunately. So I'm just going to bread all of these cutlets and shake off the excess. Okay. And of course you want to keep like a mental reminder which ones you put on first, so you know which ones need to be flipped first. Okay. Okay. And then what's great about this dish too is that, the reason why it uses just the one pan is because when these are done cooking, you're just going to create your sauce with the juices and the kind of little burnt pieces from the chicken, from the flour and the egg already in there. And that's going to just boost the flavor profile of your sauce, because you're going to have everything there already. Like your flavors are already started in the pan, which is great. And you want to wait until the bottom looks, pretty brown. They want to be browned up. And I like to push my chicken around a little bit, because still keeping a reminder of which one you put in first, just because that way I feel like if you have any hot spots on your pan, then you're not necessarily going to miss, or cold spots really I should say, as opposed to hot spots, but then you're not going to miss where they are with each, piece. They'll be able to cook pretty evenly. Okay, so this was my first piece. So that's still not quite ready to turn. I'm looking for a nice kind of golden brown color. Everything that when you do a shallow fry or a fry or anything like that, you're looking for that kind of brown, browning that is just indicative that it's done, right? On one side, because that's going to lend itself to the crispiness that you get. Now, it's not going to be super crispy chicken Francese like you would have if you had an outer crust, like breadcrumbs or panko or something like that. But it is going to still seal the chicken, and it's still going to give it a really nice coating that you want to have a bite to it, and that still requires browning. Okay. All right. So let's see. There we go. So see, nice browning there that occurred. And it's okay if some of the pieces, like little bits come off or whatever of your thing in this dish. Remember, we're going to use, nice little coloring there. We're going to use those bits and pieces anyways. They're going to be integrated into the sauce when you're done cooking there. All right. So while those are finishing up, I'm going to get my next chicken pieces ready. So like I said, this is multitasking type of dish. And this is, not hard, right? It's not a hard dish to make. It's a little time consuming to do like the back and forth with the frying, but overall it's a very easy dish for even, I mean, I've been doing it since I was a young kid, I mean, I was a kid helping out breading and frying and stuff. When we made for my Christmas feast for Christmas, we did a lot of breading for seafood because we do the 7 fishes in our Italian household with my Italian family. And my daughter was like in it, right? She was breading that calamari and that shrimp, and she just was having a blast. A messy blast, but still a blast. But, when you let kids learn in the kitchen, you should expect the mess. And that's okay. All right, so these guys are going to be ready to go in. See, you kind of just get everything ready. And while these cook, and because they're so thin, you only have to cook them a few minutes on either side. And again, they're going to finish in the sauce. So when this guy looks a little bit more brown, or when these guys, I should say, look a little bit more brown, then we're going to put them on the side. So nice browning here. Okay. There we go. Browning there. And you might think to yourself, like, oh, it just kind of looks like scrambled eggs on the outside of a chicken. Well, yeah, kind of. It's pretty much what it is, right? But again, because you're going to be adding it into the broth, it doesn't feel that way when you eat it. And you don't taste, it's not eggy, it's not an eggy dish. So I don't know. It's hard to explain if you've never had it before. But just like carbonara, right? When you have like chicken carbonara or like pasta carbonara, and you don't, it's a lot of egg in the sauce, and that's actually raw egg, or I should say, I don't want to say raw egg, it's cooked, but it's cooked with the pasta, the egg yolk. It's not like you cook it in the pan, and it's not an eggy dish, right? It's not like an eggy flavoring, I should say. The egg just really gives it a nice richness to itself. Okay. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what? That's it. I'm only going to make these 7. I'm going to save these chicken cutlets for another dish. Just probably maybe grill them up and throw them on a salad for lunch this week or something. Because it's only 4 of us, right? 7 cutlets, and we don't need that many. That's enough for seconds for some of us. And, my daughter's only going to eat 1. When I say 4 of us, it's because me, my husband, my mother-in-law staying with us right now while she's recovering from surgery, and my 3-year-old. So I think 7 cutlets is enough for us. My husband's like, no, I'll have 6 pieces myself. So we can make more. All right. So great. Wait for that to bread a little bit. And obviously tongs are the best thing to use in the pan because it allows you to, push your chicken around, and, that's it. And this is, we cook this meal in real time, guys. I mean, we're not usually cutting anything. I want to show you that you can make a really delicious, hearty meal in real time, while, my daughter's taking a nap, upstairs, and, this will be ready for us for dinner tonight. Like, it's important to me not to, I want you to see how easy it can be. And, we might take a break, in a few minutes when I put the sauce together to let the chicken cook for like an additional 5 minutes. Because I'm just going to be standing here like this, like, like, watch me watch, the pot. A watch pot never boils is what they say. But, that's like the only thing we really usually try to cut to, because I want you guys to know how simple these meals can be. And how easy they are. So that's usually the only time we ever really cut, is when something just happens to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to like really cook through, So that's that. And if you're watching this and you have something to say, when I take a little break, you can just type it in the comments. Like, subscribe, but hit your notifications, right? To keep getting more recipes like this. I do a lot of Italian dishes, I think. But I also try to stay pretty eclectic. Italian's just what I grew up with. Italian and Mexican food in my household, because we are Italian and Mexican. And, you know, that's obviously, they say, you cook your best of what you know. I'm sure other people agree. If you are from a German household, you probably make a really good schnitzel, you know? I don't know how to make schnitzel. I have never tried, but I could try. I would try if somebody gave me a recipe to follow, right? I could watch a video on YouTube and learn. So, all right. So you see how there's not as much oil even left in the pan, because if you think, like, when you heard me say, like, oh, we're going to be making a sauce out of what's in here, you might have thought to yourself, wow, that's a lot of oil in a sauce. But, like, it's also been soaked up by the chicken, by the egg. You know, it's burned off a little bit. So that's not, you're not going to have, like, it's not a greasy sauce. Like, you know, I don't want you to think it's just oil on a dish. Which, listen, I'm a big fan of garlic and oil, but not for this dish. Okay. All right, so last piece of chicken. So while that's cooking up, I'm going to get this stuff out of the way, my raw egg. I'm going to put it over here into my flour, and then my raw chicken. I'm just going to put this back on my station over here. That way you can get rid of that stuff, that raw stuff, and just... I lost my rag. Oh, here's one. Just so that, you know, because we like to keep a clean house, just in case anything spilt. This is one thing I highly recommend when you're using raw ingredients like this. Okay, just giving it a nice, quick clean where you're still working, you know, because that's important from cross-contamination. All right. Nice and browning. And then while that's finishing up, I'm just going to show you. So we're going to do the rest of this meal. Now, I'm leaving an ingredient out that a lot of people would argue shouldn't be left out, but I think it's important because not everybody either can have alcohol, wants alcohol, or utilizes alcohol in their dish. But if you want to use it, white wine is something that's very commonly used in chicken Francese. Most restaurants use it in their deals. A lot of chefs will tell you that's where it belongs. I don't necessarily use it all the time. If I have it in the house, sure. If I have an open bottle, sure. If I'm going to drink it that day, sure. But I'm not going to drink it today, or we're not planning on drinking it today. We don't have any in the house, and it's not really necessary. Like, you can omit it and be fine with this dish. So we're going to just have some vegetable stock by itself. And then I am going to use, I made this compound butter, which you can see that on a short that I recently posted on the other day. And it's a garlic and herb. So it just has garlic, parsley, and basil. And that's it in the dish. And a little bit of salt. And that's going to just complement the flavors that we already have going on here. So I thought this is a perfect time to use that. And then we're also going to use these capers. I'm just going to use whatever's left in this jar, which is about 2 tablespoons, I guess. For the capers. All right, nice and brown. Okay. All right, so I'm actually going to turn the heat down a little bit, more on the opposite side. So it's going to be low to medium, but still closer to medium. Remember when we fried our chicken, it was medium to high, closer to medium. So I'm just going to turn it on the other side because I don't want the garlic to burn so much. All right, so now this part's going to go pretty quickly. So we're going to add garlic to the pan. Get that nice and fried up. We're also going to put our capers. Careful of the popping because that's moisture, right? The reason why things pop is moisture. So get that nice and bubbly. Oh my gosh. Just those 2 ingredients filled this room with aromatics, so delightful. Okay, and you're gonna throw some lemon slices. Let me get some of these seeds out. Let's not put those seeds in there. All right. Okay, I'm gonna saute these up for a little bit. Let's see. And this guy's a little too much fine. All right, kind of get those going. All right, and you're just bringing the essence out of everything, right? Just really flavoring it up and kind of soaking up. You're also deglazing excuse me, the pan a little bit with the lemon and the juice from the capers, you're kind of getting all those little crunchy bits from the chicken out already. Okay. And then this is the time we're going to add our butter. We're going to do about 2 tablespoons or so of the butter. Okay. Just throw that in there as well. Just kind of get it all over the pan. Nice and melty. You'll see everything start to break down like those lemons. It's really nice. This is going to make it so creamy. This butter and the sauce. And then when you put the chicken back in, it's going to help thicken it up a little bit. There you go. Nice and melted. Okay. There we go. And then we're going to add, like I said, about a cup of broth. I'm just going to measure from the heart. There we go. All right, not much. Maybe about a cup and a half. It's going to be pretty shallow. It's not going to be a big soupy mess, right? It's going to be pretty shallow. And then from there, we're just going to add the seasoning again, like we added to our chicken breading station or batter station. We're going to do the garlic powder, the onion powder, a little bit more parsley, some pepper, and salt. I would say probably a 1/4 teaspoon of everything. Maybe 1/8 of the teaspoon of the black pepper or the pepper, because you don't want that to be too much. All right. So I'm just going to mix this all in. Now, if you added the white wine, you would do that first to deglaze the pan, and you would let that burn off for about 5 minutes or so, because you want the alcohol to cook out. And then you would add everything else back in. Oh my God. It's so bright and so delish. All right. So now I'm just going to add chicken back in the pan. Like I said, this is going to be crowded, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. We work with what we got. I'm just going to kind of throw the lemons all around on top. Just shove everybody in there. Everybody gets in the pool, as we like to say around here. Okay. And this little guy, whoop, go in there. See? We'll make it work. And what's good about this is we're going to cover and let this all cook and steam and permeate the chicken and the flavors. We're going to leave this for about 5 minutes. At the same time, we're going to throw our angel hair pasta in while this is cooking, because it's only going to take about 3 to 5 minutes. The angel hair cooks very fast because it's super thin. So we're going to do that. When we come back, we'll show you guys how we put it all together. See you in a few minutes. Bye. Okay guys, so we are back. The pasta is done. Our chicken is done. It smells incredible in here. I am just going to be taking our juice that we did of our lemon, right? And just kind of pouring it in at the very end. It's just going to brighten everything up so nicely on the plate. So we're going to take our pasta. And you could make this as pretty as you want to. You know, some people like to twirl it and make it a nice little stack of pasta. But, well, you don't need to be crazy messy with it. We'll put the pasta in there. You're going to take a nice piece of chicken here with your lemon. Okay, you can even put 2. This will be my husband's plate. And then you want some of that delicious broth with the capers and everything on top. All that garlic, beautiful, just right on top of the dish. Ugh, so good. Look at this. I mean, you would pay 20, 25, depending on where you are, maybe even $30 for this plate right here at a restaurant. So, and you made it for under $10 a serving at the most. All right, so I'm just going to cut this little piece off just right here on the edge. So nice and juicy, like a moist. Oh my goodness. So fresh. You could even sprinkle a little Parmesan on here if you want to. Just really add a little bit of like that extra saltiness to the dish. It's so good. It's one of these like childhood faves of mine from just growing up Italian. And I hope you guys try it. I hope you love it. I hope you see that this is, under 45 minutes to complete, from prep to done. So I hope you guys take a look at this one. It's really, you'd miss out if you didn't do it in your home. So I hope you follow along for more recipes like this. Like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.